Radio. Some people called it a miracle. It revolutionized the way people heard about their world. It changed the way people were entertained. It forever altered politics, and it laid the foundation of revolutions. And it was big business. So what is radio? Technically, it's the wireless transmission or radiation of electromagnetic energy through space, hence the name radio. A sequence of inventions, all to do with electromagnetic electricity, eventually led to the invention of radio. You could say it wouldn't have been invented had there not been a young Italian called Marconi, an electrical engineer known for his pioneering work on long-distance radio transmission. He saw the commercial possibilities of wireless communication more than any other scientist before him. In 1894, Marconi became fascinated with the discovery by the German physicist Heinrich Hertz of invisible waves generated by electromagnetic interactions. Marconi built his own wave-generating equipment at his family's estate in Bologna. He discovered he could make a bell ring on the other side of the room just by pushing a telegraphic button. Soon he was able to send signals to locations a mile away. After failing to interest the Italian government in his work, but with the help of his mother, Marconi decided to try his luck in London. Marconi and his mother arrived in England in 1896 and quickly found interested backers, including the British Post Office. Within a year, Marconi was broadcasting up to 12 miles and had applied for his first patents. A year later, he set up a wireless station on the Isle of Wight that allowed Queen Victoria to send messages to her son, Prince Edward, aboard the royal yacht. In 1898, he sent a wireless signal across the English Channel to France. A few years later, he sent one across the Atlantic to the New World. In 1909, Marconi shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with Karl Braun for his contributions to radio communications. Only 7 years later, in 1916, radio became a household product, bringing information and news, music and entertainment into every living room. Ever since, radios were standardized and mass-produced to meet the demands of the public. It was the US company Westinghouse that in the 1920s were the first to broadcast programs from radio towers and then sell the receivers to the public. Station KDKA in Pittsburgh was the first radio station, and it operated from the roof of the Westinghouse factory.
This is KDKA of the Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company in East Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Each year the radio quality improved, more stations appeared, and radio personalities were born. Like Gertrude Berg, a pioneer in radio, who starred in The Goldbergs, a comedy drama that was broadcast from 1929 to 1946 on American radio.
I just called her to ask you not to forget to remember to bring the newspapers when you come home for supper, because I want to see the advent in the paper. Yeah, please.
It was during the Great Depression that she became a star. While companies shut down, the stock markets plummeted, bars and restaurants were empty, radio, however, couldn't lose. Instead, it prospered because it was free entertainment, the cinema of the mind, paid for by commercials.
Cotton pickers, how many times have you found your job really painful because of sore and chapped hands? Now, at last,
radio also substantially changed the print media industry, with many advertisers shifting to the new medium, so much so that some newspapers refused to even mention the word radio in any of their articles. Radio substantially changed how news reached people. Listen to the emotion in the reporter's voice as he broadcasts live from the scene of the Hindenburg disaster on May the 6th in 1937, as the aircraft famously caught fire.
It bursts into flames. Get it started. It's fighting, and it's crashing. It's crashing terrible. Oh, my, get out of the way, please. It's burning, bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring mast, and all the folks between it. All the humanity and all the...
And radio changed how political leaders communicated with their people. One of radio's most famous speeches is that of King George VI, as he declared war on Germany on 3rd of September in 1939.
In this brave hour, perhaps the most faithful in our history, I send to every household of my people, both at home and overseas, this message, spoken with the same depth of feeling for each one of you, as if I were able to cross your threshold and speak to you myself. For the second time in the lives of most of us, we are at war.
One who exploited the power of radio very effectively to reassure his people in those dark days of war was the US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. On December the 8th, 1941, an impressive 60 million Americans listened to him asking Congress to declare war against Japan.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
At the time of his speech, radio was already at the heart of American life, as well as further afield. Radio was everywhere and it served one very important purpose: the need to communicate quickly and over distance. Fast forward, however, to 1950 and a new contender entered the market: television. TV marked a new era in popular culture, soon becoming the primary medium for influencing public opinion and entertaining people. Although it inevitably took a healthy slice of the radio audience pie, at that time TV shows were limited to the evening, meaning that the radio airwaves still dominated throughout the day. You could also say that music saved radio, as it was the time of rock and roll.
Folks, this is Elvis Presley. I'd like to take this time out from music to tell you that you're listening to the number one request show on East Texas, Tom Perlman's Hillbilly Hit Parade.
Thanks a lot, Elvis. That's right here at good old KSIJ, Gladewater, Texas.
Many radio shows shifted to television, but music stayed. Suddenly, there were disc jockeys, DJs, like the legendary Alan Fluff Freeman, who was one of the BBC's most famous presenters.
Always looked a winner, and the Nashville teens make it big as they crash the British charts and the top 10 at number 10 with Tobacco Road and Cliff Down.
2001 marked a significant moment for radio in the Middle East. In September that year, the Arabian Radio Network was born. It was the start of a brand new era in radio programming, catering to the diverse multicultural base that makes up the UAE. For the first time, there were music and talk shows which catered to a wide variety of nationalities, all of which called the UAE their home. Since then, the Arabian Radio Network has expanded to become what it is today, a 9-station network which also incorporates multiple digital stations plus apps with a combined listenership of 3.8 million listeners. ARN reaches a larger audience than any other radio network in the UAE. And this brings us to Dubai Eye 103.8. Here, talk takes centre stage, where opinions are expressed and a multitude of topics debated. Talk radio has been a staple since radio's infancy, and it continues to hold a crucial role within the local community.
Stay one step ahead with Dubai Eye 103.8.
We love radio.